Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for my 5 best Chelsea wins of the decade between 2010 and 2019. Over 300 victories to choose from, some incredible moments for fans to savour. This is my personal 5. So please give me your lists in the comments below, but let's get into the best victories of the decade. Number 5 is probably a game most people won't have on their list because it did add to the trophy cabinet. It wasn't against one of Chelsea's biggest rivals, but I think considering the difficulty Chelsea have had at this ground and the fact that this game included 9 goals and went back and forth, and I think was really a defining game for one Chelsea player, I think I have to put it on this list, and that is Everton 3, Chelsea 6 in 2014-15 in the Premier League. Chelsea were going for the title win this year, and Chelsea really stormed out the blocks right away in that year. And I think this game, simply because Jose Mourinho is so known for his counter-attacking sort of controlled games and the tactics of him, and sort of the way this game was so frantic, so out of control, so chaotic, I think was so different to what Jose Mourinho was used to. And I think that's what made it such a memorable game. The back and forth nature of it. As a fan watching it back, it's enjoyable just for the chaos of it and the goals that were in it, because there were some brilliant strikes within the game for both sides. But also as a fan, it was a difficult watch because you never knew which way it was going to go. Chelsea very much usually were having a 2-goal lead within the game, but Everton kept pegging Chelsea back, and you thought Everton could get an equaliser within the game. But for me, the reason I put this on this list, I think, is for one man, and that man is Diego Costa. I think this was his best game in a Chelsea shirt. It was only I think his 3rd game at Chelsea, but I think this one really defined the best elements of Costa's game. He got right in Seamus Coleman's face after he scored an own goal, which caused a tussle between the players. This very much was Diego Costa's arrival in English football, I think, because it was on TV. I think everyone sort of realised the capability that Costa had, and really he terrorised defenders from there on, and really I think he asserted himself as one of Chelsea's best players, and fans fell in love with him. And as well, it was a massive win. You know, Chelsea only won 4 games at Goodison Park within this decade, and all of them were cherished, but this was the best of them, so that's why it's on this list. Number 4 is a final victory, and that is Chelsea 4, Arsenal 1 in the Europa League final only last season. I think the reason I put on this list, there's been many brilliant wins against Arsenal within this decade. There's so many to choose from. I could have put the 6-0 on Wenger's 1000th game, but I think that the reason I put this is not only because it's more European silverware to cherish. I think the circumstances surrounding it mean I have to put it on this list. I think you've got to remember that Chelsea, going into this game, there was a split in the fan base over Maurizio Sarri's future. It was such a divisive year, and one that brought out so much negativity. The fact that this game, going into it, there were fights between the players, there was speculation over Sarri's future. It very much felt like it was leading to a disappointing night. But as well, Eden Hazard really set the game alight. This was his farewell for Chelsea, and this was his final. I think it was so great that Eden Hazard finished his Chelsea career on such a high, with such a glorious performance, scoring 2 goals, setting up 1. I think this was his final. The Belgians' brilliance really coming to the fore right at the end, and it was a bit of a bittersweet final, to be honest, because he basically confirmed his departure at the end of the game. Considering how good he was for Chelsea within this decade, this was the perfect ending to his Chelsea career. Number 3 is Manchester City 1, Chelsea 3 in the Premier League in 2016-17. This was the landmark victory within that amazing 13-game winning run within that season that catapulted Chelsea to the top of the Premier League, where they stayed for the rest of it. I was at this game. The best thing about this game for me was I was actually in the City end. I had got into the game thanks to a mutual friend, and I sort of had to keep a low profile during the game, but it was an incredible watch. It really was. Chelsea went 1-0 behind, and Kevin De Bruyne missing an open goal basically to put City 2-0 up, and then the game changed. This game was defined by Chelsea's brilliant counter-attacking play. It was exhilarating to watch Chelsea on the break. They cut City apart, firstly with Diego Costa and Cesc Fabregas having that connection. Costa once again instrumental in the second with Willian on the break. That was wonderful to see. Chelsea, and then Eden Hazard wrapping it up late on. It was slightly marred by Sergio Aguero's tackle on David Luiz, which got him a red card, and it did create a tussle at the end of it. But really, I think what this game proved to a lot of Chelsea fans, it made them believe that Chelsea could win the title that season, which they did. And I think winning at the Etihad, especially within this decade, the way under Guardiola especially, and the way Manchester City have gone to the top of English football, it's one of those big grounds where you win at. It's an amazing victory, and definitely for me it has to be on this list. So number 2 and number 1, I think it's no surprise that both of them are in the same year and they both are in the Champions League. Firstly, Barcelona 2, Chelsea 2 at the Nou Camp in April of 2012. This was the game where Chelsea secured their place in that final. Pretty much a season's worth of events within one 90-minute period, and it looked like it was turning into a disaster, really. Going 2-0 down to Guardiola's amazing Barcelona side at the Nou Camp, and as well JT being sent off for kneeing Alexis Sanchez in the back. It looked like it was going to turn into a rout and a really dismal night, but then Ramirez's chip changed everything. Lionel Messi missing a penalty, and then the heroic defending, probably one of the best defensive performances I've ever seen from Chelsea, especially against that Barcelona side, which is one of the best of the decade, really. With the exception of one other image within this decade, one of the most iconic images, not only within this decade, but Chelsea's history, was Fernando Torres running in on goal at the end of that game. And I think the narrative surrounding Fernando Torres, the fact that earlier in that year he'd missed an open goal going around the keeper, I think it was just poetic that he would run in against Victor Valdez, take it round him and put it in to send Chelsea to the Champions League final. Gary Neville's noise after that, I think, was infamous with it as well, and to put all that £50 million being repaid. Even though the majority of Torres' Chelsea career was quite disappointing, this was the high point, and what a high point it was, and it sent Chelsea through to the final. And well, there's only one other memory and one other win that could overtake this, and that is Bayern Munich 1, Chelsea 1, Chelsea winning 4-3 on penalties. In truth, when I actually was compiling this list, this is probably the lowest quality game within the list, because of it, it didn't have many goals. Mostly Chelsea were defending, Bayern Munich trying to break us down. Naturally a very tense game, but I think the fact this is the biggest win within Chelsea's history means it has to be top of this list for me. The miracle in Munich gave Chelsea the greatest night within the club's history and immortalised so many players. Of course, we were defending for a lot of it, and then Thomas Müller's goal goes in with not long to go, and I think all of our hearts broke then. I think we thought that for the second time Chelsea have come so close to winning a Champions League but are going to fall short. And then the head of Didier Drogba saved us, and what a moment that was. And Didier Drogba sort of, all of his amazing final moments for Chelsea, I think all of that sort of came to the fore here, and it was brilliant. It really was. And then we went into extra time, and Petr Cech started his penalty heroic, saving from Arjen Robben. And then we went into the penalty shootout, which once again, sort of the script of that season of going back and forth and Chelsea looking out of it within the Champions League campaign. Mata missing the first penalty, Bayern scoring their 3 penalties, including Manuel Neuer hitting one in really well. And you thought it's over, especially against Germans. But Petr Cech once again saving 2 penalties, including that Schweinsteiger one. And then Didier Drogba with his right boot immortalised himself within Chelsea's history. As I say, I think this game has to be top of everyone's list. I really don't know what game could eclipse this as a Chelsea fan. It's still one game out of all these games, out of any game I've watched for Chelsea as a Chelsea fan, that I still get nervous watching, and I think that shows you the roller coaster of emotion and how much it meant for Chelsea as a football club. So that is why it is Chelsea's best win of the decade. So that is my 5 best wins of the decade for Chelsea. Please let me know your personal lists in the comments below. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.